Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of HSP TV. I am, as always, your host, Barbara, and today I am joined by Silke Harvey, and we are going to be talking about your dreams are never too late. And I've been looking forward to this talk because now more than ever, I have learned that it is so important to have dreams and to have big dreams. Maybe the dreams that people call you crazy for dreaming, because those are the dreams that take you out of your comfort zone. Those are the dreams that make you feel alive, that make you come alive. And a lot of us are afraid to dream this big and to have these types of dreams. But like the title says, dreams are never too late. So welcome, Silke. I'm very happy that you're here today.
Well, hello, Barbara, and thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure to be here.
Definitely. So we connected a while back, and this was the topic that we came up with because we were talking about your life's journey and my life's journey. And you actually just now shared with me you moved into your dream, right?
I have indeed. In the last month, I made the big move from the UK to Bulgaria. I sold up my house in the UK, and I'm now living on a homestead in Bulgaria.
That is incredibly amazing. And it's very similar to what I'm exploring. And I might not move to Bulgaria because I don't really know where I actually want to move to. But I'm also in the process of selling my house and pulling up my roots and exploring the world to discover where I want to be ending up. So I'm very, very happy for you that it's now a reality and that you are in your house. But the road there has a story. Am I correct?
Absolutely. It wasn't an easy road, and it wasn't an obvious one either. I bought this house about 4 years ago purely as a vacation home.
Mhm.
And been going backwards and forwards a bit, doing the place up. It was an old place, it needed renovating. So I spent some time on the property, but never really thought about living here. But then my life changed quite significantly this year. In
Mhm.
January, my mum sadly passed away. And then 2 days later, after my mum died, my husband of 31 years decided to leave me.
Of
So
course.
that was a very, very traumatic time. And so basically, I was in Germany at the time when my mum died, got a text message, I won't be home when you get back. So I came back to the UK to an empty house.
Mm.
And then I was faced with the reality that life was no longer what I knew. I'd been thrown into an alternate universe within seconds. And well, first I thought I would come to Bulgaria maybe over the summer or over the winter, just to recuperate. But then, as I was sitting there in my house on my own with lots of time to think, I sort of started thinking of my dreams. And from earliest childhood on, I've always dreamt of having a farm. I mean, things like Little House on the Prairie have a lot to account for. you know, those typical small girl dreams. But then I thought, why should these dreams actually be just for the small girl?
Mhm.
Why can't I have those dreams now that I'm a grown woman? And I started to like explore the idea a bit more. And then in the end, I came to the decision that life would be a lot better in many ways if I was to relocate, because my home in the UK was beautiful. I really loved it. I bought it with view to spending the rest of my life there.
Mm.
And I'm only 5 minutes walk from the sea, cliffs, beautiful countryside, everything I've always hoped for. But it was an urban house. It only had a small concrete backyard, no garden. I've got three fairly big dogs. They couldn't go anywhere. They had to just go on lead walks. So then I thought there is a property in Bulgaria with 2,000 square meters of land, the size of a football pitch, and it's just standing empty there, and we could have so much fun, so much freedom there. And so little by little, the idea blossomed, and then in September, I made the decision, yep, I'm selling up my house and I'm taking that step, I'm taking the risk.
That is such an amazing story. And you are absolutely right. You touched upon some really great points, because when we are small, we dream. Right? We have lots of dreams. Maybe we even have fantasy friends. We use our imagination a lot, and we want to become an astronaut or a ballerina, or we want to have a horse. I wanted to have a horse. I was a horse girl my entire life, so I dreamed of having my own horse. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I actually started dreaming of my horse again. He's there on my vision board. You cannot see it, but my vision board is always in my vision when I'm working. And my Black Beauty horse is there again. And we dream up all of these dreams for how we want to live when we grow up, the type of life that we want to have, the way it's going to look, the job that we're going to be having. And then somewhere along the lines, we stop. People either tell us that our dreams are foolish, or that our dreams are crazy, or that they're not stood in reality, or that we are not smart enough to become a doctor or a lawyer, or whatever, pardon my French, bullshit people feed us, and we stop dreaming. We stop believing in the power of our dreams until we start believing in, let's call it, societal propaganda. What I mean by that is, you need to have a good education, because then you can have a really good job. And then you need to find a great partner. And then you need to marry that partner. You need to have 2.5 kids with that partner. You need to find the perfect house with the white picket fence, and maybe indeed a dog or a cat or both. And then, that's the epitome of a happy life. Societal propaganda.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And I've always been one to break all these rules. And all my life, I've been told that I'm a dreamer, and I can't count the amount of times I've been told that I should get my head out of the clouds and my feet back firmly on the ground, an old German saying, And even my parents always used to tell me, like, to calm it down a bit. My dreams are too outrageous. So over the years, some of my dreams have been completely watered down, but I've always tried to break the rules as well. I mean, at 19, I backpacked to the UK, where I met my husband whilst we were actually touring around the country, following Shakin' Stevens, going to lots of concerts, and I just decided to stay on in the UK and marry. And then we actually were professional musicians for 20 years. So I've done lots of things that have broken the rules, but on the other side, I realize now that I've got older that there are lots of dreams as well that have gone by the wayside because people have talked me out of it when I was younger.
Exactly. And what then happens is that we try to mold ourselves into what society expects of us, and we measure ourselves to other people who are doing the same thing. And if you are not married by 30, you're doing something wrong. If you're not a mom of at least 2 kids by 35, you're doing something wrong. God forbid you hit 40 and there's no man and children in sight. The amount of comments that you hear and well-meant advice that you're getting about the entire situation, I kid you not, it's not fun. And that's all societal pressures. And in the end, trying to please everybody, trying to conform to what we think other people want, what society expects of us, in the end, it always leads to some sort of blow up. It can be an implosion, like a severe burnout. It can also be an accident, or maybe even a disease that shakes you up so much that you start looking at what you've been doing up to now, and then hopefully conclude that what you're doing is not working, at least not for you.
Mhm.
You're not happy. You're not where you feel you want to be, and you're not living your best life like so many people like to talk about. And that happened for me when I ended up in my burnout. And the thing that I realized after years and years of self-discovery and personal development is that I was trying so hard to please everybody around me, not being who I really am, that I lost sight not only of who I actually am, but also the dreams that belong to the real me, the authentic me. And it wasn't until I started allowing that person to come out again and started to get to know that person that I always was, that was always buried deep within me, but that I sort of had lost sight of, that I started to get in touch back with my dreams.
Yeah, something very similar actually happened to me because over the years, without realizing, I molded myself into a life that was sort of expected as a married woman. Even though our life was unconventional as musicians, there was still this thing going on that my husband was the lead singer, he was the lead guitarist, I was the bass player in the background who used to do all the organizing. You know, I'm the one who got things done, but I was the quiet one in the background, and that was always expected of me. For
Mhm.
many years, I was actually happy in that role. But since all this is blown up and I've had all this time to think, I actually realized that I've never been the bass player in the background. I'm actually the one who wants to take the mic.
Mhm.
I want to be in the spotlight. And then I started just to, like you do, you start to reflect back. And I realized for nearly 30 years, I've been shaping myself into somebody I thought my husband, my in-laws, everybody wanted me to be, just to have a successful marriage.
Mhm.
So when it all fell apart anyhow, and I realized he'd been off with another woman for 2 years behind my back, I finally said, you know what, sod the lot, I do what I want finally. And I've been spending the whole last year actually exploring who I am and realizing that deep down I've never changed. I I love all things nature, I love all things eco. Well, as a 12-year-old, I already joined Greenpeace in the 1980s. I was on all the marches. So that's something that's never changed, my deep love for nature. Like now I'm on this farm because as a small child, I always dreamt of living on the farm.
Mhm.
Now I'm doing it. So I've just decided that this new freedom that comes with loss, inevitably, I'm going to use it and get right back to my old self. I'm going to rediscover the young girl in me, and I'm going to do everything I've always wanted to do, finally.
I'm so very happy to hear that. And if you look back on the situation, didn't he actually do you a big favor by being an asshole, by walking out and leaving you and just going away out of your life? Wasn't that sort of like one, maybe the final kick, or at least one of the kicks in the butt that you needed to finally step into who you are?
It definitely was. With all the pain that came with it, it's actually the final straw that needed to break the camel's back, so to
Exactly.
speak, to finally wake up out of this sort of like sleep I've been in. I've been
Hmm.
sleepwalking for 30 odd years,
Yes.
thinking I was happy, and at some points I genuinely was, but then at other times I wasn't at all.
Hmm.
And I was just kidding myself and like going along because the idea is, hey, a long-term relationship, a long-term marriage is the ultimate success story in life.
Hmm.
When you see all your friends and family around you splitting up, divorcing, you can say to yourself, hey, I'm still here 30 years later, but at what cost?
Exactly. That was also part of my burnout. I had been under a lot of stress at work for a long time, and that was already slowly killing me. But we handled that for a long time. But it wasn't until my partner of 7 years stood up one evening after we had watched TV and just turned around and looked at me and said, "You know what? I'm done with this relationship. I want you to be gone at the end of the week. Out of the blue. Nobody saw it coming. I didn't see it coming. We were looking for bigger houses. We were talking about marriage. We were talking about children.
Yeah.
Nothing prepared me for this comment. And it was like my whole world got blown up because I had no contact with my family and he had a very extensive family. So his family had become my family, and a lot of his nieces and nephews had become our close friends.
Mhm.
And when I didn't have a house to live in, I built a home literally with two hands. We remodeled for 4 years. We built a home together. And by the end of the week, I lost everything. I lost the love of my life. I lost my family. I lost my friends. I lost my safe haven, my house. And eventually, I also lost my business because I ended up in this burnout as a consequence of all the stress, everything coming together. And at that time, it was horrible, and all the emotions and the stress and the grief. And I mourned him as if he had passed away. But if I look at it right now, I think the way he didn't doesn't deserve bonus points, but the fact that he did it in the end was the best thing he ever did for me, because in a way he set me free. He set me free to go and find myself, because when I came out of that relationship, and I'm very curious to hear your experiences, but I discovered that I didn't really know who I was anymore. I didn't really know what my hobbies were or what I loved doing. I had so assimilated to him and our life together that I sort of lost who I was in the process.
Hmm. It was similar for me, although myself, I had started a slow process of finding myself a little while before the breakup, because I started to rediscover that I love energy healing. I was attuned to Reiki in my 20s, and then I just left it because that's not something that's cool to be seen doing as a rock and roll bass player.
No.
You know, when you're walking around in your black jeans, in your black heavy metal t-shirts, and so I had started about 3-4 years ago to rediscover all this, and I was exploring the pagan path, and I joined a coven, and I was doing all these things, experimenting with my true beliefs. And that's actually something he in the end held against me, saying like he can no longer put up with all of this. So basically, as soon as I started to find my real self, he no longer liked that. He only liked the me that I was putting on for him.
You are onto something there, because when you look at it this way, then my story is the same, because I had already started my reschooling to become an acupuncturist, and I was looking at starting a business along with a friend in something completely different than I had been doing up until then. And I was already starting to heal myself and becoming more and more independent and more my own person. And in the end, that is what broke us up, because apparently he needed to be my knight in shiny armor, the knight on the white horse that rode in and rescued me, even if that meant changing a light bulb or things like that. And part of who I am is that I like it when you do that, but if you're not available, I have no issues doing it myself.
Yes, yes. Well, with my ex, it was more like he likes to be mothered, and you have to like spend all your attention on him and constantly like feed his ego, cook his meals, do everything for him, basically nurse him like a mother would. And the more independent I was getting, the less I was doing that, the more unhappy he was obviously getting. But I
Yes.
wasn't realizing it because he never even said about it. He never voiced any concerns. He never said he was unhappy in a marriage. And
Mhm.
that way it hit me just as sudden as you. I mean, I literally went over to Germany knowing I was having to deal with mum dying. And the
Mm.
last thing I expected is to just get a message on Facebook Messenger saying, oh, by the way, when you're coming home, I won't be there.
But that's utterly horrible, because your mother dying is one of the worst things that can happen to a person, because we have a very different bond with our mother than we have with our father, unless you have an abuse bond with your mother. I know from personal experience, not with my mother, but with my father, that then your bond can be completely different. But in general, losing a mom has a big impact. And then the unpersonal Facebook Messenger. How
Yeah.
dare you?
Yeah, not even a telephone call or a Zoom call,
No,
nothing. No.
very disrespectful. So we had this moment where we broke down and we were in our darkest period, or at least a dark, very dark period. But we also came out of it. For me, and it sounds like for you also, it was the start of in a stronger discovering who you are, and tapping into what you envision for yourself, for
Yes,
your life. Cue dreams, right? Because in that process, that is the start of allowing our true dreams to come back into our lives again.
absolutely. And like you mentioned earlier, this kick up the butt, this sudden sort of like cut in your life is exactly what was needed, because the void that opened up from that, this big emptiness actually gave me the space to start thinking about what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of time to think when you're suddenly sitting in a house all by yourself with nothing but the walls to talk to, you know. Uh,
Yes.
but I think it was absolutely necessary, because in that stillness, that emptiness, that loneliness started to develop into stillness, and in that stillness, all these ideas started to come in, and suddenly, I suddenly started writing my own songs. For 31 years, he used to write the songs. I used to help him arrange it in the studio. Now I've actually suddenly written my own song. I've been to the recording studio without him. I've done the whole lot, and all these creative ideas suddenly started flooding in.
Yes. And how awesome is that?
Mhm.
And that's what starts to happen when you tap into your authentic self and into your real self, the self that's deep down within you, and you start opening up. Then you're also starting to let your talents seep out, and maybe a lot of hidden talents that you either didn't know existed, or maybe you learned to bury deep because people had opinions about them that made you feel like you couldn't share them with the world. Whatever the reason, these start coming out. It's like you're literally cracking open, and the real you starts seeping out. And with any crack in anything, the more pressure there is behind. And believe me, if you've suppressed your real self for a long, long time, there's a lot of pressure behind that crack. And then you burst open, and then you can tap into your natural creativity, into your natural talents, and then also the pathway to your dreams becomes open, unblocked. Because along with becoming who you really are, you need to determine what's that life going to look like for this person that I actually am. Because the life that I thought I was going to have, being married to this person, having maybe kids or a house or whatever your dream was, it shattered. It happened. It sucks. But
Mhm.
now you have the opportunity to dream up a new life.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm doing right now, because my real big dream is, you said earlier, like the big dream, the one that everybody tells you that you're crazy to even dare dream. For
Yes.
me, is that one day this place I'm living in will be an eco retreat center where I'm growing food, sustainable living, hydroponics, permaculture, and people come from all over the world to learn how to live off grid, how to grow their own food. And that's my big vision. And I've had a lot of people laugh at it, but that shows me that I'm on the right path, because I'm onto something.
Exactly. I love it. And anybody out there that's listening or watching this, and you either resonate with Silke's dream very much, or you know how to help her turn this dream into an even bigger reality than it's already getting, get in touch. If you know someone who might be helping or helpful in this dream, share the video with them so that they can get in touch, because you need some help in creating this, in finding out everything. And this is a call to arms. If you know something that can help Harvey Silke with her dream, or if you just want to offer support or whatever, reach out. Either leave a comment or reach out directly to Silke. So where can people reach you? Where can people find you?
You can find me very easily on the internet, on nearly all social media channels, but my main channel is Facebook, and it's silke.harvey, just my name with a dot. And I'm also on YouTube, which is at Silke Harvey. You can also find me on Instagram, which again is silke.harvey. And you can email me as well at silke@innerhippiebooks.com.
I love it.
Yeah, that's my publishing house.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm really keen to connect with people who have knowledge of permaculture, of eco living, of sustainable living, because I will need help with that, because I know so much. I've done a little bit of conservation work, etc., but I really need an expert to help them build that all up. Or I'd like to hear from anybody who might want to spend some time in Bulgaria, maybe volunteering in return for having a nice holiday here. Anybody who just might have any idea how to help with an eco retreat center.
There you have it, beautiful souls. If you feel called, or if you know someone who could answer this call, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll make sure that all the links that Silke just mentioned will be in the show notes of this video. And I would also love it if you could let me know in the comments what has been your biggest insight up until now. That would also be amazing. So to go towards the end of this episode today, I'd like to talk a bit about tips around dreaming. So what type of tips can you give people that are maybe still afraid to dream big, or that still are in this stuck reality, or adhering to societal norms, and are already in the first stages of feeling like this is not going to be it, but I don't know what else?
One of my biggest tips actually is to get out in nature, because when I first started feeling that there was something else, that there was something more, I took myself on long walks through little valleys, through the fields and meadows along the coast. And in that process of just walking and connecting with nature, I was clearing my head of all the daily stresses. And again, that started bringing in a little bit of that space that I talked about, that you need to actually find yourself. So that is the very first starting point, to get yourself out in nature, get away from everything, turn off that mobile phone, don't have any electronics on you. I even went as far as leaving the phone at home altogether. And again, people were terrified. How can you go for a walk without your phone? So, well, until my mid-20s, I did that every day. You know, what's the difference? You know?
Yes.
So at that point, when you start realizing that there is something bubbling up inside of you, ignore everybody, take some time out for yourself, and give yourself that gift of taking some time out in nature, so you can start thinking, because that thinking and clearing your mind is the very first step to allow all these downloads from spirit, how I like to call it, you know, from the universe, or whatever you call it, energy, that can only come in when you start clearing your mind. And that's the very first step.
You're absolutely right. I've experienced this firsthand as well, especially since COVID. I sort of had a mandatory holiday because the government closed down my physical business and I wasn't really online yet by that time.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden I had seas of time, and I went in nature more and more and longer walks, and all my downloads come when I'm walking, because when you're physically active, your body is in movement, your mind also becomes in movement, because the mind and the body are connected. And when your mind can move along with your body moving, you can release stuff, but you're also opening up to
Yeah.
download new stuff. So, and I do take my phone, I have it on silent so I cannot be disturbed, but I take my phone because I need something to take note of all of these downloads. So either I use it as a dictaphone and I just talk to it and I talk about
Yeah.
all the ideas that I'm having, or you will find me standing still regularly and then typing like a crazy woman. Because then everything comes pouring out, and I think, oh, I need to type, and then you walk 2 minutes, and then oh, new ideas, and then everything
Yeah.
comes out. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But if you use your phone like that, that's not bad. I mean, I tend to take a little notebook with me because I really have made it my mission to switch off from electronics. I mean, right now it's very easy for me because I'm actually going off grid, and I've got 2 solar generators, and I've already learned in the first month that if there's one cloud in the sky, you have no electricity.
Oh yeah.
You have to really start like budgeting how long you use the internet every day. So now, like, one power brick gives me about 6 hours of internet, but then I need the second power brick to power my laptop. So it's a good exercise, but I'm finding the more I'm switching off, the more ideas I'm getting. So
Mhm.
there's really something in that.
Yes, I
So
love it.
that's my tip number 2, to switch off the electronics from
Yes,
time
I
to time.
regularly have periods where I do that. I go to the sauna regularly to just really come loose with it. I took a holiday where I was not reachable at all. I had it with me, but it was all turned off because I needed to be down.
Mhm.
But another reason why I take my phone is because I am trying to minimize my paper footprint. So I don't want
Mm.
to use notebooks anymore. I want to digitalize anything, because I'm also following my dream and preparing to start traveling and moving. And then you need to take the least amount of things as
Yeah,
possible. So
very
if I
true.
can put everything in my phone and have it always on me so that I can always read it and add to it, that was a bonus thing for me. But again, like what Silke says, I turn off my reachability. I have no notifications on my phone. I don't want to be notified by all social medias. I don't give a peep. I don't want to
Mm.
be disturbed by other people. I choose when I am reachable and when I connect. And when you practice this for a while, even when you have it on you, you get better and better at disconnecting, even when it's there, and using it for other purposes. But if that is a difficult thing for you, because I know a lot of people are addicted to their phone, then by all means, don't bring it. It's
Yeah.
a lot better to get yourself used to not having it around, and to unlearn being constantly in the presence of it and using it, because that is what you need to reconnect with yourself. As long as you are connected to everybody else through your phone, you will have a really hard time connecting with your true self.
I totally agree. Totally agree. Yeah.
Love it. And another tip that I'd like to give you is, once you start tapping into your dreams, make sure that you're really grounded. Walking in nature, being in nature is a good way of grounding, but you can also do grounding exercises, or walk barefoot, or stand in water, go into the ocean. There are different ways of grounding yourself. And then connect your breath to your power core just below your navel, so that you can really tap into your own energy. And then start daydreaming.
Mm.
The sky is the limit. If anything is possible and there were really no objections, no blocks, you have more than enough money, you have all the knowledge you need, you have the perfect location, you have all the necessities that you would need to create your dream, the sky is the limit. What would your dream be? And then go walking with that question. What would my dream be if anything and everything is possible? Go
Yeah.
walking, let yourself be inspired, and at the end of your walk, or maybe midway or multiple points during your walk, I'm pretty sure you will have downloads, information, thoughts, images, maybe even, that will point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. I love daydreaming, and I love to dream big, because I totally agree with you. If you can dream it, you can do it.
Yes.
Dreams are the first step to becoming reality.
Exactly. And what I see when I start working with clients, when I ask them to dream big, it's yes, but.
Yeah.
And yes, but immediately blocks everything. The yes, but immediately blocks everything, because then you let yourself be stopped by the bears on the road, the perceived bears on the road that might not even be bears, or maybe there's a way around the bear, or maybe you can color the bear into cute pink and make it a cuddly bear, or, there are different solutions for different things. But if you let yourself be stopped by all the bears on the road before you are even clear on the process of daydreaming, allowing yourself to daydream, then it will not work. So give yourself permission to dream, even when your mind tells you, yes, but that's never going to work, because think, well, that might be true. That might not be true. But for right now, I don't care. And allow yourself to dream.
Yeah. And anyway, it doesn't matter in a way if your dreams come true. It's just the actual process of dreaming.
Yes.
Now, the time you spend dreaming, you are relaxing your mind. You are actually opening yourself up to all the possibilities in your life. And even if that specific dream doesn't come true, something else really, really good may come out of it, because you suddenly seen just a different way. You've seen a different path.
Exactly. A couple of years ago, my biggest dream was to open a retreat center on the Azores, which are Portuguese islands that are in the middle between Europe and the United States, which I thought would be beneficial to attract people from both continents. And also with the rest of the appointments that I'm having time zone wise, it would be amazing. And the nature there is gorgeous, and the food is delicious, and the tranquility and the relaxation is beyond anything I'd ever seen before. And I started seriously pursuing this dream and doing research and investigating in it. And then in the end, it meant that I also got a lot of responsibilities, and that I was tied down to one spot. And that came along with a lot of other things that I thought, oh, but that's not what I want. Because now that I think about it, I want to be free. I want to be free to travel, and I want to travel a lot, and I want to do something that I can do while I am traveling. And a retreat center does not fit into that. So the point of this story is that it's okay to have a dream and to pursue that dream, and then to find out, okay, well, this is a great dream, but it's not for right now. Maybe eventually, when I'm out of this traveling phase, I would like to have that retreat center. It's not that it will never happen, but for right now, I came to the conclusion that my right now dream is something else, and that's great as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then I'm a bit the same. I mean, I love the idea of traveling. I originally was contemplating the RV life, and then I actually realized through all the contemplation that I'm not really the type to be a digital nomad, because I like being at home as well. So my big dream now is to have this retreat center and then go off for 1 month or 2 months a year traveling, the compromise. And it's just things like that you have to explore and find out for yourself, but you can't find it out unless you dream it in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly. There you have it, beautiful souls. It is never too late to start dreaming. It is never too late to get clear on your dreams. And it's most certainly never too late to let your dreams come true. I hope that you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. And I thank you for watching and for listening and for showing your support by liking this video, by sharing your biggest insight in the comments, and by maybe even sharing this video to your network if you thought it was valuable. And I thank you, Silke, for being here and for talking about this wonderful topic, and for sharing your wisdom, your insights, and your time with us here today.
Well, thank you, Barbara. It's been real pleasure and real fun to be here. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show.
You're most welcome. I loved having you as a guest. So for now, there's nothing else to say, but have a great rest of your day. And I will talk to you again next week with my next guest. Have an amazing day today.